Hey there, backers fans. This is Devo1099 coming at you from New York City, ready to help you out with your Champions League teams this week. I know that a lot of Premier League fans are pretty loyal to the Premier League, but there's a lot of fun to be had in Mondogoal and other fantasy sites for Champions League. It'll keep you busy during the week, heading into Premier League matches this weekend. But we've got two Premier League teams playing. We've got Manchester City against Barcelona on Tuesday, and we've got Arsenal hosting Monaco on Wednesday. So you're gonna want to pay attention to those teams anyhow. So you may as well put a little money on the line, play some Mondogoal, and see how it goes. So we're gonna help you out. Starting with the first match, there's two matches on Tuesday. Juventus against Borussia Dortmund, and then Manchester City hosting Barcelona. So we're going to start with Juventus and Borussia Dortmund. We expect this to be a relatively low-scoring match. Borussia Dortmund has been absolutely dreadful in the Bundesliga this year. They've been a little bit unlucky. They definitely are capable of firing off a lot of shots. They've got some really talented players like Marco Reus, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They can score goals, absolutely. But Juventus is really strong. Gianluigi Buffon is one of the best keepers in the world. He's the Italian national keeper. He's been around for quite some time, and he's still a star. At home, Juventus has a good chance of winning that match. Maybe I could see it being 1-0, something like that, 2-1. Juventus plays very good defense, so you're going to want to look at Buffon, as I mentioned. You're also want to look at Steven Lichtsteiner and Patrice Evra. They're both listed as defenders, but they play a little bit more of a wing. Juventus can set up in a 3-4-3, and Lichtsteiner and Evra will occasionally go out on the wings there. We'll see what they do tomorrow. They may play a little bit more defensively, so keep an eye on that. But Lichtsteiner and Evra both send in a lot of crosses. They're a defensive team, so they've got a good chance at a clean sheet. Worth looking at. One thing to note is Lichtsteiner has a bit of a temper problem, piles up some cards. Those will kill you on Mondogoal, so be very careful with him. Don't put him on every team that you have just in case he gets himself in some trouble. On the Dortmund side, as I mentioned, Reus and Aubameyang, if you think they're going to score, by all means, go ahead and try to grab them. But Reus is excessively expensive on Mondogoal. I don't really see a ton of options. There is Lucas Piszczek, Dortmund defender. I could see taking him. He gets forward quite a bit. A lot of crosses. He had 3 assists in group stage play, so he's in contention. He's not quite inexpensive enough to make it worth taking him over an Evra or some of the other guys I'm going to name later. So not the most interesting match. I would probably side with a few Juve defenders. You could take Tevez up top. You could take Pogba in the midfield for Juve, but kind of see how it plays out. I'm a fan of Juventus this week, but there are some other plays out there. Next is Manchester City and Barcelona. This game could be full of goals. It could be a really tightly contested, 0-0, 1-1 match. City are capable of letting in a bunch of goals. They're capable of keeping a clean sheet. They're hard to predict. And in these first legs of Championship League matches, teams tend to play a little bit more conservatively coming out. City are coming off, a 5-goal performance against Newcastle. Aguero seems like he's in better form. David Silva was truly outstanding in that match. So, they have a chance to play with Barcelona. Barcelona was upset by Malaga at Camp Nou. So, maybe Manchester City is actually the team that is in better form heading into this match. So see if they can steal one there. It could be interesting. As far as plays, I don't like the defenders or keepers from either side. Certainly, Messi, Suarez, Neymar are in contention at any time. Their values on Mondogoal are prohibitively expensive for me. Messi in particular is 27.6 million pounds. That's over a quarter of your budget. If you're going to select 11 players and use one as a quarter of your budget, you're going to be really hard pressed to find half decent players for the rest of your squad. So I don't think this is a match where you need to take Messi. I think Suarez at about half the price. He's at 13.6. He's an interesting option for me. I definitely will take a long look at him. David Silva, as I mentioned, is in great form coming off this last match over the weekend. Then you've got you've got Samri Nasri, you've got Yaya Toure, you've got Aguero if you want to pay up for Aguero. Barcelona, their defense is not their calling card, so there's a chance that you could get a goal out of Aguero. He didn't do a whole lot last match, but he got that penalty kick early on, so that made managers happy no matter what happened the rest of the way. On Wednesday, we've got Arsenal hosting Monaco. Arsene Wenger against his former team that he kind of broke in as a manager. Arsenal are the heaviest favorites to both win, score, and to keep a clean sheet. So odds makers really see Arsenal as heavy favorites here at the Emirates. Certainly worth looking into getting a piece of every facet of their squad. So, at keeper we're looking at Ospina. The one problem is Chesney could start. Ospina picked up a knock last match. I haven't been able to find anything that indicates that he may be unfit to go here, but certainly something to look into. See if you can get a good read on what's going to happen prior to the Juventus, Dortmund, and Manchester City, Barcelona matches starting tomorrow. Because once those start, you're not going to be able to make any changes. So that makes Ospina a slight risk. Taking a 0 from your keeper is not a good way to win. So we're confident that he will go, barring finding any more information. If we find that information, we will pass that along to you on Twitter, and also on our site, fantasyfootballbackers.co.uk. But Ospina, Chesney, both very good options. Ospina is slightly more expensive, actually much more expensive. Chesney is a really nice price. He comes in at £6 million. So if he does draw the start, and we know that tomorrow, Chesney would be great. Chances are we probably won't have that information. So it'll be up to either selecting Buffon or Moya from Atletico Madrid, who we'll get to later, or taking our chances on Ospina. So tough to do at 10.1 million pounds. So we'll see what happens. In the midfield, we'll start with defenders. So the defenders, there is some squad rotation risk for Arsenal at defender as well. In the past 4 Premier League matches, though, we've seen the same defenders 3 out of those 4 matches. Only last match was Bellerin swapped out for Callum Chambers. So we think that on the wing, on the outside backs, we're going to have Bellerin and Monreal, and we think in the center backs we're going to have Koscielny and Mertesacker. So those 4 guys are all options. None of them are particularly interesting fantasy selections. They don't really tend to score a ton of points, but Bellerin would be our favorite. He seems like he likes to get forward. This is a match that Arsenal should control and should hold the ball a fair bit. I think Bellerin is probably my selection among those, or Koscielny. Koscielny is a very talented defender and should be able to get some points through tackles won, interceptions, other ways that you can score on Mondogoal that are not available on some other sites. In the midfield, we've got Mesut Ozil, we've got Santi Cazorla. Both those guys are fantastic plays. Ozil in particular, I think is interesting. He's slightly less expensive than Cazorla, and this could be a match where his creativity is at a premium, and Ozil could be a very nice play here. Alexis up top along with Giroud, and maybe even Welbeck. It's tough to select Welbeck when we're not going to know if he's in the lineup in advance, but he looked great against Palace, and he's considerably cheaper than the other two options. Personally, I like Alexis. I think he's worth paying up for. I think he's probably my favorite play of the entire week. So, I will have Alexis in my lineup, but I would not be opposed to using Welbeck or Giroud if we get any indications from Wenger tomorrow, as I mentioned prior to the other matches starting. So our last match is Bayer Leverkusen hosting Atletico Madrid. This is an interesting match as well. Bayer likes to get out and get some shots off and play a fairly fast-paced brand of football. Atletico can kind of play both. They have the ability to play some of the best defense in the entire world. They also have some good attackers. Mandzukic and Griezmann have been great. They've been absolutely great for them later. They also have a strong midfield, though they may be missing out on Koke. So, starting with keeper, we do like Moya as a keeper for Atletico. He comes in at £8 million £1. Pretty strong option. Probably the third likeliest to keep a clean sheet behind whoever Arsenal goes with and Buffon. Opting between Buffon and Moya, I will probably select Buffon because he's at home. I think that there is a slight edge being at home, and as I mentioned, Leverkusen, they get a lot of shots. So does Dortmund, but Leverkusen at home is a little bit scarier to me than Dortmund away from home. The defender that you want to focus on from Atletico would be Juan Fran. He gets forward very often. He's a very skilled player, piles up Mondogoal points. His average Mondogoal points output during Champions League group stage was about what his value is now. So when you can find a situation like that, you should be in pretty good shape. So Juan Fran's a defender that I will likely be selecting for most of my teams. In the midfield, as I mentioned, I think Koke is probably going to miss out. He's missed out the last few weeks. He has a hamstring injury. Sounds like he is starting to get in some play. I don't know if they're going to force him for this match. If he's not fit, I certainly don't see the benefit when they, they'll have another match in a couple weeks coming back to Madrid. And they have some talented midfielders that they can sub in. So, you've got Arda Turan. He comes in at £9 million. You've got Gabi at £6.4 million, and you've got Saul Niguez at 8.3. Gabi is a nice price, and Saul I think will probably not be on many managers' radars. So I think he could be a very interesting play. In the last three matches, he's played excessively well. Came from the bench and was able to score a goal a couple matches ago, and started the last two and has looked solid. So Even at 8,000,003, I think he's a strong play. And as I mentioned, Mandzukic and Griezmann, they're in fine form. I don't know how many goals they're really going to score away from home here. I probably won't be eyeing those guys, particularly Mandzukic, as he is a little bit pricier. So, so that wraps up things here. Just to review, we're looking at Juventus, we're looking at Arsenal, and we're looking at Atletico defenders and midfielders. I think if you stick to that format, you're going to be in pretty good shape. It'll be a little bit painful in case Barcelona goes and scores 3 or 4 goals, which they can do on anybody. But at the values that they're at, I think that there is more opportunity for your budget in some of these other teams, and that's where I'm going to be turning. Wouldn't fault you if you take Suarez, if you want Neymar, if you can try to squeeze Messi in, if you see some players that that are less than £6 million that are nice and inexpensive that you can play and then be able to force Messi. It's your team. I wasn't able to do that. I tried. I didn't like what the rest of my team looked like, and I think it's important to have a good balanced team in a small slate like this. So best of luck. I hope you enjoy the Champions League this week, and keep an eye out for Premier League this weekend. We'll be back with more. That's Fantasy Football Backers, Devo 1099 with Champions League play on Mondogoal. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.